So Football Manager 26 now is just a matter of weeks away before we can all get our dirty little hands on it and we can all enjoy the brand new game. Of course, I am very, very excited. With that being said, I will be selecting 5 players that deserve a massive upgrade on FM26 and of course, 5 players that deserve to be absolutely nerfed. So player number 1 on my list who deserves a massive attribute increase is the Sunderland goalkeeper in Robin Roofs. Since coming in to the team to replace Patterson, he's been absolutely fantastic. His shot stopping, the command of his area, his communication, his actual all-round goalkeeping ability, he's been absolutely superb. A real fan favourite now for Sunderland. I hear him shout, I hear the crowd shouting Roofs every time he makes a save. They think highly of him, and quite rightly so. He's been absolutely fantastic. His stats on FM24 don't do this kid any justice. He better get an improvement. And like I said, it's early days in the Premier League, but from what we've seen so far, he looks like a real standout goalkeeper. I could rant and rave all day about how good Roofs has started off here at Sunderland, but what I do want to show you on SofaScore is a couple of things. Goals prevented, 2.61, so near enough 3 goals there saved in 6 games. How important, how crucial is that going to be for Sunderland come the end of the season? Overall, his form is very good indeed. I reckon he's averaging on at least a 7 every single game. September, he's been on an 8.1. He's also been involved in Team of the Week twice already in the Premier League. So this guy, we expect a lot more from him. But like we said, he deserves a massive attribute increase on FM26. Make no mistake. Player number 2 brings us to West Ham. And it is Al-Haj Malik Diouf. And this kid here at wing back left has been absolutely unbelievable. His work rate, his work ethic, his ability to go forward with the ball, but also his desire, commitment to get back. In my opinion, of all the highlights from the games I've seen West Ham play, he's been a standout player, a real superstar, a real bright spark of what's been a really quite dull start to the season for West Ham. He has been one of the shining lights of the team. He's still young, he's still learning his trade in the Premier League, but make no mistake, in my opinion, he could go on to be one of the best wing-back lefts in the Premier League. He's showing that commitment, he's showing that desire, and his stats on here are not particularly very good either. His physical's not so bad, but I think overall his technical ability definitely needs to be improved for the new game, and also his mental stats as well, because I'm not really happy with the sort of composure and decisions, concentration on there. They deserve a buff. And his work rate 14, it's nowhere near high enough from what we've seen of Diouf so far. Should be easily 18, 19, maybe even a 20. Real hard working, committed player. And West Ham fans should be thrilled with what they've got here. And he should be one to keep an eye on for the future. Make no mistake. As we've already mentioned about his work rate, determination, you can see straight away from the heat map how much ground he does cover down that left-hand side for West Ham. He's not scared to get forward, get some crossed into the box, take players on, but will also get back and do his defensive duties as well. Absolutely superb player, and look, I'm going to mention it once again, he's been the standout player for West Ham so far this season. Even his pass completion, accurate passes, 75% in his own half, 81%, over 60% in the opposition half. She's not too shabby at all. But even on the other side of things as well, dribbles could be slightly improved upon. But overall, duels won, 43%, nearly half, not too bad. And aerial duels won, over half. So he has got that physical edge to him. He's strong, he's quick, he's powerful, but can also defend and attack. He's a real all-round, solid left back. What I don't agree with on here is the sort of form between August to September. 6.5, I don't think that's fair. You ask any West Ham fan, even feel free to comment below in the comment section, West Ham fans. In fact, any fans, if you've watched him, you know he's played better than that. He's been their best player, and quite frankly, them form ratings don't really do him any justice at all. On FM26, he definitely deserves an upgrade. We need to see a much more improved Al-Haj Malik Diouf. I think he deserves it, and I think he will be one of West Ham's best players. So player number 3 takes us to the red side of Manchester, and it's Patrick Dorgu, their new wing back left. On Football Manager 2024, his physicals are what I would expect. He's a strong lad. And the physicals on there, like I said, do pretty much match up to what I expect. But the technicals, not for me at all. Defensively, I've watched him, another player a lot this season. He's been very, very good. He flies into tackles. He's determined. He wins the ball. He gets forward. And I think that tackling definitely needs to be improved as well. First touch, pretty much spot on. Crossing, not so bad. But like I said, the tackling, the positioning, and the decisions for me aren't quite making sense. Dorgu, for me, has been a standout player for Manchester United this year. And there hasn't been many of them at all. I expected more from Cunha, from Mbuemo, but Dorgu has been a real bright spark, a live wire for Manchester United. Not, like I said, feel free to disagree with me. You might say he's not been their best player, but in my opinion he has. And they've got a very good left back on their hands since they've got him from Lecce. But yeah, another player deserves a big improvement on the game. He's still learning his trade. He's still young. He may not get a massive boost straight away on the current ability on FM26, but I expect his potential ability to be a lot higher and really reach the dizzy heights of being one of the best left backs in the world. The form chart for Dorgu, I think it pretty much tells its own story. Since joining there in January, he's been a standout performer. His form's been very good. He had a very good month there, 8.1, which is absolutely phenomenal. Carried it on in pre-season into July, and then through to now, the end of September, 6.8, just about above average. I think we say that, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because, like I said, Man United have been absolutely terrible, but he's actually the only player that stood out. And when I watch him play, he's committed 100% to this to Man United's football club, and he's a kind of player that Amorim wants. The fans want someone that leaves no stone unturned. They get that from Dorgu. He's been absolutely fantastic. Dorgu's heat map is pretty much the same as Juff's at West Ham. Loves to get forward. He's probably a little bit better going forward than Juff is at this current moment in time. But defensively, he's also doing a solid job as well. If we look at some of his overall stats on here, we know how strong he is. We know how committed he is to the cause of Manchester United. You can see when he plays his football. So total duels won, over half. Ground duels won, over half. Aerial duels won, over half. So he's not doing too bad in that aspect of his game as well. Regarding his passing, it's 76%, very high. Good accuracy passing in his own half and accurate passing in the opposition half. He's still very high in 64%, and he's instrumental in what Amorim wants to do at Manchester United. Overall, a solid player, and I don't expect him to have like an instant elite player sort of ability on FM26, but I expect his ceiling to be a hell of a lot higher on his potential ability. We want to see him to go on to become one of the leading left backs in world football, which is, I think, exactly what he deserves, and I think he has got that potential and he will hit it at some point. So Dorgu does deserve an upgrade on FM26. So player number 4, we are at Tottenham Hotspur, and it brings us to Jed Spence, the right back for Spurs, and his stats on Football Manager 2024 are absolutely criminal. They are horrible. They are awful. His technicals, he might as well needn't bother, and his mental's not so good. The only thing that stands out here, which is pretty much correct, is going to be his acceleration, his pace, and his stamina. But there's a lot to be changed on Jed Spence on FM26. Everything about this is wrong. I don't even know what to start off with first. His tackling, apparently, is crap. His passing, his marking, his crossing, his dribbling, apparently, is not particularly good. And there's a few things on the mentals I can't get on board with. Determination 10, work rate 12. It's not for me at all. Anyone that's watched Jed Spence knows how much ground he covers. He really plays for the club. He plays for the badge. He plays for the fans. And he plays with commitment and desire. And I just can't see and understand why he's that bad in this game. And he's been fantastic for Tottenham. He was great last year. He's been looking good this year. He's even been playing for England. I think he got his first cap, I think, not so long ago. And he's come on leaps and bounds. And if this player, Jed Spence, has similar stats on FM26 to what's on here, It's completely wrong. If anyone out of all the players so far that deserves a big increase in attributes, it's Jed Spence. On SofaScore, we can't really take too much into consideration for this because he has picked up a few knocks, not really featured very heavily so far this season, trying to get a little bit of fitness back, but I think he will get it soon enough and hit his high form again now. Jed Spence was one of the main reasons and one of the standout performances last year for Tottenham. One of the reasons they got through to the Europa League final to win that. He's also got an England cap there, got himself a 6.7 rating when he stepped into the fold for England, which is also very impressive. So far this year, he's only played the one game. He played against Villarreal, got a 7.1 rating in the Champions League, but started Jermaine to go on. His passing, very impressive. His ground duels, very impressive as well. And even though there's not really too much information on here at the moment because he's been lacking in minutes in game time, his attributes on FM26, like we said, don't do him justice, and his player that definitely deserves a massive buff, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he gets it. So player number 5 is Yankuba Minteh of Brighton and Hove Albion, and he's been absolutely nothing short of electric in the wide areas for Brighton. But once again, same old story on FM24. As fast as he is with his pace and acceleration, both at 17, everything else on there is absolutely shocking. Can't pass, he's got no technique, he's got no work rate. The only thing that he can do relatively okay is dribble, but he's a lot more than that. His flair was incredible, his crossing, his actual chance creation for Brighton has been absolutely exceptional. A standout player for them, a very exciting young prospect they do have. But if we go into Football Manager 2026 and you take over Brighton and you've got Yankuba Minteh with stats like this, it's not really going to fill you with confidence to start him in the wide areas. So this player, out of all of them, for me, it's all based on my opinion, deserves a massive buff, and I expect to see an absolute superstar. He's pretty much carried on his fine form from last season into this year, and he's doing bits all over the field. Some of his strengths is positioning, he's really high press, and his playmaking. Apparently passing is a weakness. Can't really get on board with that either at SofaScore, because I think from what I've seen of him, his passing's been rather sharp and very good indeed. Now his heat map, he does get up and down that right hand side. Obviously he's more offensive, but he does get back now and again to do his defensive duties. He's played 6 games, started 6, hasn't been in the team of the week so far this year, but he's bagged himself 2 assists, created 3 big chances, 1.3 key passes, and he's passing once again in his own half and opposition half are both over 50%. So how they're saying his pass is not really too good, can't get on board with that at all. He's got expected goals of 1.61, and even here now, successful dribbles not shy of 70%, duels won over half, ground duels won over half, and even aerial duels 64% as well. So for a winger, he's still big, he's still strong, and he's just an all-round very good player. So I expect to see Yankuba Minteh absolutely buffed up to the max. And I tell you what, if you are going to manage Brighton on FM26, you will have a very exciting team. So there's my 5 players that definitely 100% need an upgrade on FM26. If you've got any players you've got in mind that you think deserve an upgrade, let me know down below in the comments. Now the fun bit, we can move on to the 5 players that have been absolutely criminal. They've not been good for a whole season, carried on into this year now. They need to be absolutely nerfed. So the first player that needs to be nerfed, he needs to be massively downgraded, takes us to Raheem Sterling. Of course, he was at Manchester City, he's been at Chelsea, been at Arsenal, and he's not very good at all. Apparently on this, his physicals, mentals, and his technicals are all really good. But I think it needs to be massively brought down. His physicals now should be declining at his age, and he's just not really there anymore. His mentals, we should see them drop off somewhat, because he's not the same player physically or mentally as he was, 4 or 5 seasons ago. And the same goes for his technical abilities. I think they are also not the best in FM24, but I expect a slight drop on those as well. There's not going to be too much to say on most of these SofaScore ratings. These players we are going to be downgrading don't really play anymore. They're aging and they're not the same players as they was many years ago, as we previously said. So Raheem Sterling not featured since May of last season, and I don't really expect him to get back in the Chelsea team anytime soon. He's not going to get anywhere near the international team. According to this, he's got no outstanding strengths, but also no weaknesses. But I can list plenty of stuff he's very, very weak at. So yeah, Raheem Sterling should be massively downgraded, and potentially very, very cheap for someone as well. The next player brings us to the sick note of the Premier League. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, signed for Leeds United after being released by the Toffees. Now, I look at the screen now on here straight away. There's so much wrong on there. The only thing I can kind of get on board with is his heading of 17. His physicals are nowhere near that anymore. His mentals are not that good, and his finishing is not 14. And he cannot play in all these positions. He's slow. He's always injured. He's like the new version of Darren Anderton. But for Leeds United, I expect Dominic Calvert-Lewin now to be massively, massively degraded. Quite heavily, actually, on the finishing, on the off the ball. But especially, I expect his physicals to be dramatically dropped. So Calvert-Lewin, not the same player as it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago for Everton. Pretty much done, in my opinion. I think Leeds fans will beg to differ. I think he scored from this year, but you know, he's made of glass, and I think he will be a player to really suffer for negative attribute drops on FM26. Straight away on the screen, injured in January, injured all the way through March, didn't do anything in May, transferred to Leeds United in, is that August, I believe it was. He has played, I think, 3 or 4 games. He's got no strengths, no weaknesses. Bloody hell, I should just put made of glass on there. So he's had 4 appearances, 3 starts, 0 team of the week, 0 assists. He has got himself 1 goal, and I think it's pretty much this guy. What can he offer? Like I said, he's good in the air, so I think he will be a menace in the box. But even saying that, his aerial duels one, only 41%. You know, it's all below 50%, which is not great for me. 25 touches. If we have a look at some of the attacking output now, 0.3 goals per game, 4 big chances missed. It just shows you have a conversion rate of 14%. He's just not the same player anymore. He will offer a bit of a threat if you are going to take over Leeds United. You are managing them, but he's not going to be able to get around the field, in my opinion. He's going to be pretty much put him in the box, dump some crossed into him. He may be good from corners and dead ball situations, but I'll expect Calvert-Lewin to be massively, massively decreased on his attributes. Up next is Andre Onana, aka Flappy Hands, and his career went from Ajax, and then he went from Inter to Manchester United, and then it all went wrong. Man United have cursed him, and he's ended up at Trabzonspor on loan. But on here, apparently, according to FM24, we can't blame him because the game's a few years old now. They've claimed he was one of the best goalkeepers in the world, valued at anything up to £100 million. And he needs to be... I can't really change much on the mentals. I think his physicals are about right. But his actual goalkeeping ability, it's definitely... It's abject. It's not great at all. His aerial reach is wrong. Command of area is shocking. Communication terrible. Eccentricity is probably correct. But even on there, he's kicking. I could probably get on board with his reflexes, but pretty much everything else on there is incorrect. It's all wrong. He needs to be downgraded. He's apparently one of the best goalkeepers in the game on here, and he's nowhere near them levels anymore. So fully expect, guys. I don't think anyone's really going to manage Trabzonspor on the opening of the beta. But if you've got Onana, I'll suggest you just send him back to Manchester United, because this guy is absolutely horrendous. I don't want to hammer him too much. I do have to say I feel sorry for him at some points through the season, because watching him, I was thinking I could do a better job than him, and I was only a Saturday League goalkeeper like a semi-pro many moons ago. But I fancy myself I was better than Andre Onana. But as you can see from his summary of the last 12 months, it's been pretty much tragic, apart from a couple of months in November and March. No outstanding strengths. I can list loads of weaknesses once again, as we just did. So far for Trabzonspor, he's actually made team of the week once. Fancy that, eh? 3 appearances, 3 starts, goals conceded per game 1.7, and goals prevented is minus 0.74. So I take it back. He's conceded 5 goals, 4 from inside the box, 1 from outside the box, and 8 saves. So nothing really too impressive at all. But Andre Onana, he's not a good goalkeeper anymore. His days as playing at some of the top teams in the whole of world football, he's done. And he's just going to be on the periphery now. Maybe Trabzonspor might have him now. And maybe he might go to someone like, I don't know, like a Monaco or something like that in the future. No disrespect to Monaco. But he's not. His days are done. And I think it's pretty much the end now of Andre Onana at the top of world football. But he bloody better be, because he's absolutely criminal. Player number 4 brings us to one of my players at Aston Villa in Jadon Sancho, on loan from Chelsea. Hasn't really featured too much for us. And the times he has come on, he's pretty much been ineffective. And from what I've heard from sources, he's not really doing too much in training at all. So straight away, the physicals I think are pretty good. They're not really going to differ too much. But I think we can imagine the technicals will drop somewhat. He's not the same player he was at Dortmund when he was a revelation. Everyone was singing and dancing about him. He's not that Jadon Sancho anymore. And I think his days, once again, playing for top clubs in world football is also done. We can expect his passing, his technique, his first touch, his dribbling to all drop by a bit. It's going to be a mid Jadon Sancho at best, but he's not going to be anywhere near this on FM26. And as much as it's nice having a big name around the football club, he's just not the same player anymore. Since joining on loan, like we've said, he's been pretty poor, getting himself a 6.4. He's got no outstanding strengths, no outstanding weaknesses, but I think once again, we can all agree there's a lot more weaknesses than there are going to be strengths added to his game. He's done absolutely nothing. He come on against Sunderland, he played 8 minutes, and like I said before, if he's not training well, he's not going to get minutes under Unai Emery, so we can't really take much into consideration here regarding stats, because we, to play 8 minutes, I think I'd have accurate passes for a few minutes on the football field, and he pretty much, by the look of it, just sat upon the corner flag there, had a bit of a sit down, but not really too much to be excited about. Being a Villa fan, I was excited when we first signed him. Now I just think, yeah, I'm not really too bothered at all. So expect a dramatic drop off for Jadon Sancho. I may well be Aston Villa at some point on FM26, but will I use him? Probably not. The 5th and final player will come as no surprise to many of you, and it is Harry Maguire of Manchester United. He is a disaster. He's not the same player he was 4 or 5 years ago, and granted, he wasn't too good then. His technicals, his mentals, his physicals are all too high. We'll expect a massive, massive drop-off indeed. When I start off the beta, I am going to be managing Manchester United on the beta more than likely, and the first thing I will try and do is offload Harry Maguire to whether it's a loan, whether I can get him out for £500,000. I want him out of this football club. The only thing he does offer is he's a threat in the box from dead ball situations, but defensively, absolutely criminal. Not only does he pick up a fair amount of injuries, he's absolutely terrible. How they've got these ratings across here is absolutely beyond me. And that 6.3 in September pretty much sums him up as a football player for me. And the strengths, it pretty much is what we said. He's great at aerial duels, ground duels. I disagree with that completely. You put someone with a little bit of pace, run at him, and he will absolutely shit the bed. I mean, what's sad, he's actually played 5 games for Man United, started 2 and offered absolutely nothing. He has got 1 assist, so I do take that back. He got himself 1 assist. But even on here now, ground duels, 1, 17%. Aerial duels is good, but it's what we expect from Harry Maguire. He's a big, massive, bloody lump. He's going to win stuff in the air. But apart from that, he doesn't really offer anything at all. So Harry Maguire, out of all the players, I think it's between him and Raheem Sterling, who will get absolutely nerfed in the Premier League over everybody else. So there you have it, guys and girls. That is just my opinion on 5 players that we could potentially see most improved, and 5 other potential players that could get massively nerfed. Of course, everyone's opinions are going to vary. There are going to be some people out there thinking that Harry Maguire he's still got something to offer, but in my opinion, he's Of course, on FM26, every single player is going to have slight differences compared to FM24. Some will improve, some will decline, but some will massively, massively drop off. Let me know down below. I'm a poet. I didn't know it. Yeah, let me know down below in the comments any players that you think are going to massively drop off, or any players that you think are going to absolutely skyrocket to fame. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, guys, FM Raid is out of here.